A very good morning to you. This is the South African Morning. Now, the Police Minister Bheki Cele is refusing to apologise to anti-crime activist Ian Cameron. You will remember that he shouted at him to shut up at an Imbizo in Gugulethu last year. Parliament's Ethics Committee found him guilty of breaching the ethical code of conduct. Cele says he will take the findings, however, under review. Cameron joins us this morning, but before we speak to him, here's a reminder of what happened.
And I'm not going to take any nonsense of somebody who regards me as a garden boy today, because you regard me as a garden boy. You come here, shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I sat here, I listened to you. I sat here, I listened to you talking nonsense. Listen, it's your time to listen. Sit down and listen, young man. Or get out! Or get out!
Ian, so that is what we saw transpiring live on our screens last year. But take us back. What exactly transpired and what gave birth to this type of reaction? What happened before that shut up, shut up?
Yeah, thank you very much. So on the day there was an Imbizo in Gugulethu, and it was about a massive crime onslaught. In fact, it's still ongoing. Just this past weekend, more cops were killed there, and more people as well. But I raised a few issues. I wasn't actually going to speak in the beginning, so I sat at the back. I wasn't actually going to attend. My wife told me you should go and attend. I said I don't want to listen anymore. I'm kind of tired of hearing the same thing from Minister Cele over and over again. But Action Society has a few cases in Gugulethu, and at that stage we only had one or two. But anyway, went there, listened. Minister Cele did the opening remarks. There were 12 speakers before me. But when Minister Cele started, he made some very derogatory remarks towards Metro Police members, so anyone falling under the City of Cape Town, as well as provincial traffic police, and also towards neighbourhood watchers that patrol the streets in Gugs and surrounds. And I took note of this, and throughout I just saw the frustration in the community, and with the second round after the first 10 speakers, I decided, but I am going to ask a few questions. And then I highlighted a few things, just, factually in terms of crime trends there, the challenges that we see on the ground. And I said to him, it's not fair that he speaks down on neighbourhood watchers and he makes crime a political thing when he fights with Metro Police or traffic police, but he himself is failing in his mandate as minister. Nevertheless, I finished what I had to say, and after me there were 7 more speakers, and then Minister Cele did the closing remarks. And when he was doing the closing remarks, he suddenly pointed at me, and then he started saying a whole lot of things. But amongst what he said was that I thought of him as a garden boy. And when he said that, that's when I stood up and I said, Minister, that's not fair. Retract your statement, because to me, it's not about Bheki Cele as an individual. I couldn't care less about race, creed, culture. It's irrelevant. To me, it's about the fact that 70 people are being killed every day in South Africa. And that was the aim of the challenge and the discussion. And he tried to make it a race issue instead of focusing on the real problem at hand. And I think it backfired on him, because that community gave us massive support during and after the whole ordeal. I was then forcefully removed. To this day, I don't know what the grounds were, what the order was, what crime did I commit. I was never formally charged for anything. And I think it's a very dangerous precedent that when you speak truth to power, you are handled in that way, especially by police.
And how did you feel at that moment, Ian, when you were singled out and then all of a sudden you were having an altercation with the Minister of Police, and the police were physically drawing you out of the building?
Well, I can say it tongue-in-cheek now, but I've joked about it that my elbows have never touched each other behind my back like that. The first cop that grabbed me was quite a strong guy, but at that stage, it was quite a shock. I mean, I can't say that I immediately felt fear. I did afterwards when I realized what could have happened. But, suddenly members of the TRT unit came running into the hall with their R5 rifles, with tactical helmets, etc. And then I started to be, pushed and shoved around. They tore my jacket. And afterwards on the videos, I actually saw one of the cops reaching for his handcuffs, upon which two senior members came out and said, let him go, let him be, and move on. So, yeah, it wasn't a nice experience. Would I have done it differently? Definitely not. I would do it exactly the same way. Should they have done it differently? Absolutely. And I think, again, I think since then, there haven't been many peaceful Imbizos again. I see more communities speaking up, and I'm really grateful to see how poorer communities are standing their ground and that they are speaking up, and they don't just, absorb or swallow all the political jargon and hogwash that's thrown their way the whole time.
So, Ian, you were released, so you were not taken into custody or arrested at that point. But what you did do as well is you officially petitioned Parliament. You wrote to the Speaker, Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, and you asked for the minister to be removed. Give us some more details about that, as well as the grounds that you were making.
Yeah, so we basically said that it's not the way that a police minister should carry himself, how he should behave himself. It was obviously very worrying to see. It not only is embarrassing to Parliament, but I think for a minister that's meant to concern himself with serious matters, with policy and strategic leadership for the South African Police Service, Minister Cele certainly didn't do that. And I think, for us, it was quite a concern to see the way in which Minister Cele tried to kind of make jokes about it. I know a short while afterwards he said at the National Council of Provinces that we could have handled it better. And I made a video and I said, Minister Cele, I wouldn't have done it any differently. You should have handled it better. I think it's embarrassing that you did what you did. But anyway, so we asked Parliament to remove him. Is the Ethic Committee decision the right decision? I'm not so sure, but I think we welcome it. It's a step in the right direction. I must be honest, an apology from Minister Cele, I don't really care. It's not about that for me. It was never about me and Minister Cele. It's about the fact that, there are 3 murders per hour in South Africa, and that's what we need to be fighting. We shouldn't be getting involved in petty fights. I will certainly not be shutting up, and I will not stop speaking against poor leadership, especially when it comes to crime.
So the outcome here was that there needs to be, quote unquote, an appropriate sanction, or that this matter be referred to the Ethics Committee, which was then referred to the Ethics Committee. What outcome would you have preferred? You said the apology is not necessarily something that you care about. What do you care about?
Well, I think he should be fired, not because of me, but, it's one thing to say he must apologize to me. I think Minister Cele should apologize to the country. I think he's failed in his task. During his time as the Minister of Police, more than 125,000 people were murdered. I mean, just last month in Delft alone in the Cape Flats, 30 people were murdered. And I see him parading around about Gugulethu yesterday, saying that more police will be deployed there. But ironically, that's exactly what he promised last year, just before he shouted, "Shut up" at me. When I raised exactly the same issues with him, exactly the same issues about cops being killed, about innocent people being murdered. So he should be apologizing to the country. And if he had any integrity, he would resign and he would step down and he would give someone competent an opportunity to build a South African police service and a civilian police secretariat that can actually get the job done. But at the moment, SAPS is honestly not a body that we can respect. It's broken. And I mean, the cops on the ground are facing such an incredible onslaught, and they work under such horrific circumstances. But Minister Cele spends time some people call him the Minister of Crime Scenes and Condolences because we don't see results, yet he's there for every camera opportunity, whether it's at a funeral or elsewhere. So he's just not the right person for the job. He is destroying the little that is left of SAPS.
Ian, as we let you go this morning, not only is the minister not going to resign, but he's also not going to give you an apology. What do you make of that?
I think it's actually quite a mistake from him because he just gives all his critics more airtime, including me. I'm not going to stop speaking, and I'm not going to be silenced. I will not shut up, and I will keep on pushing. And so will our organization. Action Society is certainly not going to stop, and I know of many more that won't. So if I were him, I would have, worded it carefully, but there are many ways to skin a cat. He could have stepped away from this quietly and focused on his job. Instead, he's now giving it more airtime, which is just giving more opportunity for most of us to speak out about all the injustice that we see in the country.
We'll leave it at that for this morning. Thank you so much for your time. That's anti-crime activist Ian Cameron there, talking about the experience that he had with the Minister Bheki Cele. And I must say, every time you hear that shut up, it's still
very jarring.
It's still very jarring. But as you could hear, it's not so much an apology that Ian wants, but a resignation is more what he was thinking of.